The Angry Chicken is a production of Amove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Everyone, get in here! Ready for action! I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is the Angry Chicken.
Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to the Angry Chicken. Very angry this week. I'm Garrett Weinzerl, joined by returning guest, the lead singer of The Ghost Inside and all-around awesome streamer, Jonathan Vigil. Welcome back.
Wow, dude. Well, first off, thanks for having me. Secondly, I did not expect that. I did not have my mic muted, and I was definitely laughing at that. That was crazy, dude. That fully got me. But what's up, man? How's it going?
It's going, dude. The sun is actually out for a change where I live. There's a balance patch that has nerf demon hunters. All is right with the world. How can I have any complaints?
Are Poison Murlocs still in Battlegrounds?
Okay, man. I mean, if you're digging for me to gripe about something, actually, if anyone was following me on Twitter, I did tweet delete priests today. That was a tweet I put out.
Yeah, we'll definitely be talking about that one later for sure.
Fair. But yeah, dude. Thanks for coming back. It turns out, so we were planning to have like a 3-stack today. We like having you on. It seems like you like coming on, so we figure why not have you back. But unfortunately, rather fortunately that you're here, Jocelyn is sick. So it's just going to be Vigil and Garrett bringing you the latest and greatest Hearthstone news on the Angry Chicken this week. So everybody tweet at Joss Plays with some well wishes and your best recipe for chicken soup. But thanks for joining me, man. Like as I mentioned, it turns out it's a really good thing you said yes to come on this week because poor Joss is sick. I'm also still getting over a sinus headache. It's just the season of getting sick and everyone on Twitter assuming you have COVID-19.
Yeah, it's a weird time to be getting the sniffles and being like, oh my god, is that COVID? Like, what do I do? Like,
is this it?
So yeah, no. So hopefully, Joss start feeling better sooner than later and can get back on the show.
Yeah, gonna miss her today, but glad that you're here helping us hold down the fort. Lots to talk about. Before we get into it, I believe it was just tweeted out earlier today that the Hearthstone team is aware of a bug preventing some players from claiming Nemsy. Poor Nemsy just seems to never not ruffle some feathers with her pure existence. But the team is aware of it, and there should be a patch very soon fixing this bug. I already had Nemsy. I was still doing the Fireside Gathering circuit when Nemsy was introduced, so I cannot say that I've had any personal experience with this bug. But if you've been having issues, hopefully a fix is coming very soon. So. But before we get into like proper news and everything, because it'll probably dominate most of the conversation, it's been a little bit since you've been on, Vigil. How are you digging Hearthstone? Is there last time you were on with Joss, you preached the good word of Dragon Hunter, and I got to listen to my own podcast, which is a treat because I don't get to do that very often. And I took to that deck with extreme ferocity, and I'm still playing it. Actually, to this day, I'm now playing the new post Ashes of Outland version. What have you been playing?
I've been playing recently a lot of Quest Warlock. I know it's a little out of the meta. It's not a high tier deck. It has some really good matchups. I think I'm just drawn mostly to combo decks just by nature because I like the way combo decks play out. I think it's fun to kind of have the control aspect where you know, if you fall behind, you have the board wipes and you have the, you know, the healing and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm able to Malagos kind of Alex Straza one turn kill them. So I've been playing a lot of that. It does have some very polarizing matchups. Some feel like an auto loss and some feel like pretty close to winning. But I mean, not Demon Hunter, Dragon Hunter. Sorry, Dragon Hunter is very good. I think it's very well positioned, and it's relatively cheap to craft. If you do not own some of the cards, it's not a whole lot. I don't think there's a legendary in it, right? I mean, I guess some play Kingsbane, right?
Or
Kingsbane,
Dragonbane.
Yeah, Dragonbane. Sorry.
Yeah, some do. The most popular list doesn't, and the list I've been running because I am unoriginal and I am playing the most popular list means I am not running it either. Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking to a friend about it today because he's one of those friends that like will stay away from Hearthstone for a really long time, but I know I can drag him back in if I can find an extremely oppressive but cheap to craft deck. And so today I was preaching the good word of Dragon Hunter to my good buddy, trying to pull him back into constructed Hearthstone, because I notice whenever he plays, because we just talk so much like in casual conversation, I do a lot better because I suddenly have like a normal friend that I talk to every day that's also playing Hearthstone. So it's like, I was like, I need you to play, man. I need you to play. So yeah, it was, I mentioned it last week at the end of the show. I threw it up as a suggestion for a listener that wrote in, was like, man, I'm just having a rough time ever since Ashes of Outland. I'm just losing a lot. And they mentioned they were a Hunter player. And I'm like, you mentioned Highlander Hunter, but you didn't mention Dragon Hunter. Yeah. You should give it a shot. And they tweeted at me earlier this week. It seems like it's going really well for them.
Yeah, it seems like a deck where if you get on the board early, like you like never fall behind. If you stumble in the first early turns, then it's kind of hard to come back because Hunter inherently doesn't have a way to take back, like to wipe board and then take board again. So if you curve out one drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, like you're very, very favored. Like you're not going to really fall behind and you're going to be pretty good. So I highly recommend that deck right now. I think I'm not sure what the tier list is. It's got to be tier 2, if not tier 1.
If it depends on if you're going with like stat-based tier list like a Nature's Replay, or if you're going with a more like curated tier list like a Tempo Storm or whatever. I don't think Tempo Storm puts it so high, but looking at win rates, it's 4th place below Highlander Hunter, Murloc Paladin, and Pirate Warrior.
Yeah, that seems right.
Yeah. Oh, Pirate Warriors. This is news to me. This must be post-patch over on Nature's Replay, but yeah, it's been doing quite well. It helped me break through. I was really digging Galakron Rogue post Ashes of Outland, but I wasn't getting consistent wins because it has a significant amount of variance because of the random elements that exist within the deck with your lackey generation and also the extraneous randomness of what's coming off your lackeys. So begrudgingly, I didn't want to go back to Dragon Hunter because I had already played enough of it before the expansion. I was like, I just need to grind. So I tried it and I'm like, geez, we should have done this a while ago.
It's just tried and true. It just works.
It just does work. Absolutely. Well, Rad, we're going to talk a lot about potentially how the meta is going to shift under the guise of the balance patch that just hit today. Before we get into that, we want to thank those of you supporting the Angry Chicken over at patreon.com/TAC. If you like the program and want to support it, that is the best way to do so. We've got some perks for you, like an ad-free feed and access to our Discord server. So on this episode, we'd like to thank some of our most recent patrons. Thank you very much to Nate, just Nate, no last name given, Ben B, and Man of Little Brain. It's my favorite.
What a great username.
Oh, it's my favorite Mumford and Song. It's the best. It's the best. Thank you very much for the support, everybody. Go check it out. Patreon.com/TAC. And now, without further ado, let's get into this week's Hearthstone news.
Good news, everyone!
Patch 17.2.1 is live. It was announced Friday last week because they never want to give us enough time to cover a change on the show before it is implemented into the game. I I don't know. I guess at least we got a pre-announcement. I feel like the team has very much been okay with just, here's a thing we gave you no warning about, everybody, as of late. So I was happy to at least get to take a look at these buffs and nerfs before they hit the game, even though selfishly as a podcaster, it wasn't early enough to make last week's show. But whatever the case is, a lot of cards got changed. And mercifully, a Twitter user by the name of at @imic_plays, IMIK_plays, made buff and nerf images because for some reason the team isn't putting these together anymore. They used to, and they were very helpful for the video stream of a podcast that covers buffs and nerfs when they happen. So shout out to that Twitter user. Go give @imic_plays a follow on Twitter, because that's what we'll be using if you're watching the live stream or VOD of the podcast, which means we're going in the order that Imic put together, which means we're starting with buffs, Vigil, which means we're also starting with a single Paladin card, Paladin receiving more buffs after having already received some buffs, with Aldor Attendant. This is the 2-mana 2/3 Paladin minion that has the battle cry that reduces the cost of your Librams by 1 this game. It is now going to cost 1, but its attack is also going down to 1. It used to be a 2/3, now it's a 1/3. But it only costs 1 mana, and let's face it, you're probably not playing Aldor Attendant for its attack value.
No, I can't imagine you're looking forward to that sweet 2/3 body on turn 2, you know? So I think getting the buff out on turn 1 and having something on board is a pretty big buff, you know? I haven't personally run into any copies of this, but I mean, it's the patch just went live, so I don't know. I think it's good though. I think it's a good buff. I think it's helps paladins have the 1-drop slot covered, and getting on board I think is a good thing.
Yeah, the Libram deck especially. Like obviously Murloc Paladins, they're not having a problem with the 1-drop slot, but the Libram deck really was. So here you go. And it's like it's a 1-mana 1/3. Traditionally, we have played the crap out of that mana cost and stat line. So it nestles right into what we kind of expect from our 1-mana minions, on top of having like a linchpin battle cry for the deck that you play this card in. So I'm happy to see this. I haven't really messed around with Libram Paladin too much since. I did take a peek over at HS Replay, and obviously like we are like barely 24 hours into this patch being live in game, and there is a pure Libram deck that does seem to be doing pretty well, but I take everything with a big old grain of salt, you know, with this few games played. But it definitely isn't going to hurt the archetype. And how do you feel about buffs? Because like up until now, I guess let's call it modern Hearthstone, it's not something we've really traditionally seen, but they seem to really be trying to shore up Libram Paladin, which just makes me go, they must have really wanted that archetype to be competitively viable if they're continuing to throw buffs at it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of buffs for sure. I think I think being a digital only card game, they have this area that they can pursue. You know, they can do things like buffs, and they can do things like certain nerfs. Whereas, like, you know, in a traditional card game, you can't buff a card. You can just limit it or take it out entirely or ban it. You know what I mean? So I'm a fan of buffs. I think it's cool to introduce an archetype and then, you know, have higher hopes for an archetype, and then you know, it not working out, and then be like, okay, what can we do to make this a little more competitively viable? And yeah, I just think it's a cool thing that they're staying so proactive with everything, and not just sitting back and being like, well, Libram Paladin didn't work, I guess you know, let's write it off. You know, it's cool that they're trying to make it still playable for the people that do love Paladin, which I know you do. I'm not a fan of the class personally, but I know that you love it, and you know, I'm sure you've ran Libram Paladin in your day.
It was the very first thing I took out on the ladder, like day one, but very quickly realized I'm like, oh, this deck is terrible. So it was, I mean, you listen, I know you listen, like you heard me, like it was the thing I was the most excited for going into it. And it was something like I even had a chance to try out at the summit. But like the summit is when you get into an environment like that, it's such a small pool of players and you get into such a bubble, and no one at the summit was rocking anything that looked like the tempo Demon Hunter list that everyone landed on basically day one. There was like a lot of like token Demon Hunter going on, and something that was kind of in the vein of tempo Demon Hunter, but not nearly as sorted. So like at the summit, like when I tried Libram Paladin, it worked really well, and it was really cool. And at its core, it's still a deck type that I absolutely love. It feels like a fantasy I really enjoy, of these like permanent discounting, like constantly growing buffs. I really like that kind of stuff. And yeah, Paladin's my most played class. So, I'm very happy to see this. I hope that Libram Paladin has finally arrived. I'm definitely going to be taking it out for a spin within the next week for sure.
Yeah, I haven't run into too many Libram Paladins. More so that I ran into the pure Paladins who are running Librams, and when they get that train going with the discounting, and then they play is it Liadrin, the one who recasts all the Librams, and then you get them back, and then they're just free, and then you can literally buff a minion, attack with it, kill it, and then get all the Librams back, free play the Librams on another minion, and just be ready for the next attack. And it's like it's a cool archetype, and it's cool for sure. Pure Paladin, anytime I've played against it, it's been really tough to beat. They just have so much value, and they're just like, oh, we can make a 1/1 each turn, and we can make it big if we have to. Like,
it seems like
never run out of stuff.
Yeah, it seems like it's just on the cusp of viability too. So I'm pretty optimistic about this Aldor attendant buff, because I think Pure / Libram Paladin was really close to competitive viability before, which frankly surprises me. I didn't think Pure Paladin, because we saw the Pure archetype kind of coming in when we were in card reveal season, all 3 days of it. Before Ashes of Outland. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. There's probably not enough to make this work right now, but I wouldn't be surprised to see more pure archetype cards coming in future expansions. But never mind, like it basically worked to day one. It's not necessarily competitively viable, but it is a deck that has a clear goal, and there's enough cards to make it work that it makes sense. So, I think just a little bit here or there could push it over the edge, and I think Eldor Attendant at 1 might just do it. I'm also very hopeful and extremely biased, so take that as it would. But it's not just Paladin getting buffs. A ton of Shaman cards got some buffs, starting with, we've got Lurker Below, Torrent, and Shattered Rumbler. I'll just start with Torrent. It's the, if you don't remember it, it's the 5-mana Shaman spell that deals 8 damage to a minion. It costs 3 less if you cast a spell last turn. It is going from 5 mana to 4 mana. So that's a lot of damage for 4 mana. Granted, it can't go face, but that's a lot of control. Now 1 turn potentially earlier in the game.
Yeah, any shamans I've ever come against have not been control shamans. They've been quest, like Galakron, Battlecry stuff. But I've always been a fan of control shaman. It's like one of my favorite archetypes. Like, I loved the combo of the I forgot the name of the minion, but you play the minion and your spells have lifesteal, and then you do the Hagatha's scheme, the board wipe, and you just like go from like being behind on board and almost dead to just playing it and then killing everything and then healing to full, and you're like, yep, that's how this should go. So we'll get into the other buffs later, but I'm a fan of all of them. I love the shaman archetype, the control shaman archetype, and I think going from potentially a 2 mana 8 damage to a 1 mana 8 damage is pretty significant, I think. And this card's definitely playable. Whether control shaman is going to be good or not is a different story, but is definitely, a good card now.
Yeah, it's one of those like in a vacuum kind of statements, right? Like in a vacuum, Torrent is nuts, but is the entire deck that it goes into, is that viable? How does it match up? Where does it fall in the rock, paper, scissors of Hearthstone? But as you mentioned, it doesn't stop there. Shattered Rumbler got buffed as well. And again, if you don't remember this card, it's a 5-mana 4/6 elemental with a battle cry that reads, if you cast a spell last turn, deal 2 damage to all other minions. Its attack value is getting buffed. It's no longer a 4/6. Now it's a 5/6. It's getting one more attack tacked on. So 5/6 for 5 with a pretty big upside on that battle cry.
Yeah, that's great. I again never ran into this card because I just don't think the archetype was there. But the card is a great card, and having one more attack, could help trade against things that are a real problem. Like we'll talk about one of the nerfs later on to Demon Hunter, but this card trades into that card very well, and it didn't before. So that's a good buff.
Yeah. And then finally, Lurker Below. The final Shaman card getting buffed. 6-mana, 6/3 beast. If you're unfamiliar with it, with a battle cry that reads, deal 3 damage to an enemy minion. If it dies, repeat on one of its neighbors. It's going from 3 health to 5 health.
So this card has blown me out, but not in the Shaman class. Some very rogue things, doing rogue stuff happened, and I got blown out by the Lurker Below. And it's having more stats just means having more health just means it's going to stick on board, potentially stick on board longer. So again, love Control Shaman, so I think it's cool seeing Control Shaman buffs. I'm a fan of this buff for sure.
Yeah, and I always looked at that 3 health as a pretty big hitch when evaluating this card. Like, it's a good battle cry, but on turn 6, it's, there's a pretty good chance that 3 damage isn't going to cut it without something else to, maybe do a little bit of chip damage so that you can get some added value out of that battle cry. And so it felt a little rough having that tied to a minion that only had 3 health that's coming out late game. But now, 6/5 with an upside, with, targeted removal on a battle cry. Okay, cool. I am interested. Where do I sign up? So I'm happy with this one as well. So, and I'm with you on Control Shaman. It was one of the very first archetypes I ever fell in love with, because I still remember being in beta and being like, wait, they have a totem that just draws cards, and it was their weapon too. I was just like, oh, it's just a consistent weapon, and they have a totem that just draws cards. Who wouldn't love this? And
yeah,
I just instantly fell in love with it. And it hasn't really worked in a while, so I would like to see Control Shaman kick the door down. That would be rad.
I was jamming it before rotation. I wasn't winning a lot, but I was playing it a lot. It's just a cool archetype. I've always been a fan, and I mean, I know you're not so much a fan of this, but I like the variation that Shaman has, the randomness sometimes, where you're praying that you roll a spell totem, and then your lightning storm does the proper amount of damage of what they need to the right minions and stuff. And I don't know, that stuff's fun to me. I understand why it's frustrating, but it's very fun.
I don't mind. This goes way back. It became a meme for me that I hated Crackle so much, because the range on Crackle, when the hell was Crackle? That was GVG, wasn't it?
Yeah, 3 to 6 damage.
It was the range. I don't mind randomness, but when the range is too great of the outcome, when the outcome is terrible or broken, that's when I'm like, okay, this is too much. But Lightning Storm, you have a variable of 1. Yeah, I'm fine with that. And I like totems, because it's a range of 4 possibilities. It's always there. If you're a Shaman player, you know exactly what your options are, how to game the system, and how to kind of prepare for the best case scenario, the middle case scenario, and the worst case scenario on what your totem you roll. So I dig that kind of stuff. But ready to get into nerfs?
Let's do it.
Rad. So Rogue got a couple of nerfs. It's not all just Demon Hunter today. Rogue, let's start things off with Blackjack Stunner. So what's happening now is that basically how much it tacks on additional mana to play again, because it used to be, you would return a minion to your owner's hand and it would cost 2 more if you had a secret in play. Now it's only going to cost them 1 more to redeploy whatever card you essentially sapped back to their hand with the stunner.
Yeah, I mean, that card's definitely annoying, and having a freezing trap like deployable at any time, like essentially any time. You need to have a secret, obviously, but being able to target a freezing trap was pretty strong on a 1-drop. It's like, oh, I'm gonna spend 1 mana, I'm gonna bounce your entire turn, and you cannot play it for another 2 turns. It's like, that's like pretty devastating. I know that's Rogue's identity, and that's what Rogues are supposed to do. 2 felt really strong. I think 1's where it needs to be for sure. It's a sap +1 on a body. It's good for sure. I'm a fan of it being at 1 more so than it at 2. At 2, I think it was a little too strong.
I agree. And this is someone who has played a decent amount of Rogue running Blackjack Stunner and the secret package. Because to me, it's like, I kind of looked at it like the sap effect is good enough in its own right. Like the tempo play from just putting a minion back in your opponent's hand. Like, to me, that's enough of a reward. I'm not sure I necessarily needed the kind of freezing trap effect on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, I jam sap in Rogue decks all the time. Like, I play sap in Rogue decks that don't traditionally run sap because that card is so good. Like, people go all out thinking they're like, okay, they have no way to deal with this right now. And then I'm just like, okay, like, you used a lot of resources, or you buff this thing up crazy or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to take 2 of my crystals and put that back in your hand, and I'm going to develop past that. Like, it's a strong effect. And then, yeah, having it just cost 2 more, it was just too strong. So I think this is where it needs to be. I don't think it needs to be just a straight up sap. So I think 1's good. I think it's good.
Yeah. I'm on board with a lot of the changes today. And that stands true here for Blackjack Stunner. It wasn't at the top of my list for like major offenders right now, but like it was one of those changes where when I looked at it, I'm like, oh yeah, actually, that makes a lot of sense. And I just have to imagine like the internal stats they were looking at for how much this damn card got played and the effect it was having on board that led to this change. So, but the next Rogue nerf is one that doesn't surprise me at all, which is Shadow Jeweler Hanar is going from 5 health down to 4 health. I mean, this is a card where the first time I saw it played against me, I thought to myself, boy, that's really hard to remove if you don't have very specific tools in my hand. And I wasn't able to remove it. I'm like, how did this card survive more than 1 turn? And then I went out and took Galakron Rogue with the secret package out for a spin myself and had the same thought, but on the opposite side, like, boy, Hanar sure lived more turns than I thought he was going to. And it's just because his health is so freaking high.
Yeah, it's the same thing with dude, I'm terrible with names. Like, I can remember all the names of cards.
Welcome to Hearthstone podcasting.
Yeah, but now that I'm on the spot, I can't remember. But the one where it's a combo and it gets 2 lackeys when you combo it. Oh
my God. Miscreant. Thank you,
yes,
chat room.
The Miscreant. Thank you. Yes.
Evil Miscreant.
Yeah. So in the same way that health needed to get nerfed, so did this. Like, having a 1/5 like is so difficult to get rid of for most classes, and then on top of that, they don't play it on turn 2. They play it where they're able to combo it with a secret, and then they discover a counter spell, so your answer to it gets countered, or they're able to do a freezing trap, so where your thing you had on board to kill it, you don't have it on board anymore, and you're like, it's once it lives for a turn, it's so hard to beat. And I think having it at 4 health is, personally, I still think it's too strong. It's way better than 5 health, because 5 health is like, if you didn't handle it, if you didn't have an answer in your hand, a way to deal with it right away, then you were done. Like, it was going to snowball and you couldn't catch up.
I'm gonna blip the Discord server real quick because we're getting a little bit of issue. And all right, you should be back now.
Oh, was I not there?
No, you were. You just started to robot a little bit. So just to be preemptive, I just went ahead and swapped us to the central server.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. But yeah, I mirror a lot of your same thoughts. I think this is still a lot of health on a 2-mana minion. Now, granted, I mean, Hanar is a legendary. Legendary should come with a little extra oomph. You can only put one in your deck, but let's be honest. Hanar's health shouldn't be the reason that you're playing the card. Hanar's ability to stick around, I don't know. This is usually when Celestalon shows up in the chat room and goes, what if I told you that was our intention? Was for Hanar to stick around. It's to me, like my gut reaction, as I said, it's just like, it's surprising how sticky Hanar is. Cause it kind of feels like once you Christmas tree once, you should be good. Like you shouldn't, there shouldn't be potential to Christmas tree a second time outside of getting some pretty good outs through the secrets themselves. Like being able to get duplicate versions of Hanar, or like resurrect him with 1 health because you found a secret or a paladin secret or whatever. But sometimes your opponent just can't kill him is what it boils down to because of that 5 health. And so, 4 health, as you mentioned, still a lot of health, but it's a good break point for a lot of different damage dealing spells and weapons out there. So let's move into Warrior, which also saw some nerfs, starting with Blood Boil Brute. I'm sure you've seen a lot of these played against you if you end up against Warrior. And its attack value is going down from 6 to 5. Still going to cost 7 mana, still has Rush, still has that discount mechanic based on damage minions, still has 8 health, but it's doing 1 less damage to what it's running into.
Yeah, still strong. Still a great card. I don't think it's super overpowered, but it's a good card. It's a strong card. It being at 5 attack is definitely better than it being 6 attack. What was the card? I swear I just blank on the podcast, and I apologize. What's the card in Shaman where it's discounted for every minion on board?
Well, it's not necessarily a Shaman. For every minion on board, that's Sea Giant.
Oh, no. That has Rush, too.
Oh, that has Rush. Oh,
People would evolve it.
Oh,
what was it called?
The Mogu.
Yeah, Mogu Fleshsaber, yes.
Yeah.
So, yes, that's it. This is, in my mind, is similar to that. Both powerful cards, both good cards. A 5/8 is good. I think this is definitely a good nerf. I didn't see this card as like, a problem per se, but it's just a strong card, and I don't disagree with the nerf.
I was a little more angry towards this one, similar to Hanar, just that the health value is so high that it sticks around. But we're taking a little bit of the teeth out of this card by, bringing its attack value down by 1 actually helps me a lot with that. I'm not bothered as much by how just sticky it is, because you're so seldomly spending 7 mana on this, right? At 7 mana, that stat line makes sense to me, but you're not paying 7 mana for Blood Boil Brute. You're paying like a pittance for a massive minion. That's most likely sticking around after it trades. But this helps me a lot. This totally makes me chill out on Blood Boil Brute, because it's like, if I got to use a weapon swing on this, I don't know. Five is like, I don't know about you, Vigil, but it's something I don't really think of that often. But like, when does it feel bad? Like, what is the attack value that's like a break point where you now feel bad about attacking in? For me, I think it is 5 attack. I think 5 attack, I'm like, I can get away with it. But 6 attack hurts. That hurts if I have to attack into that with my face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're like, wow, like taking 5 face damage here stinks, but at least this thing's off the board. And then you're like, wow, that taking 6 damage, that is going to cost me the game. This 1 attack is going to cost me the game.
Yeah, it's more.
I'm with you.
More an emotional reaction, but yeah, yeah. And then Bloodsworn Mercenary getting both its attack and health dinged by 1, going from a 3/3 down to a 2/2. And this one did surprise me. I'm not going to say I'm complaining, because I am having a rough time against Warriors right now, but I was kind of happy with Bloodsworn Mercenary, and even though I have not been matching up very well against Warriors as of late on a personal level, I've been really happy that Warrior's been playing a different way, that we're not really in yet another control warrior meta.
Yeah. I do like this new, not new, but this like enrage, kind of,
I mean, tempo-y. It's a very tempo-y deck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm very into that kind of warrior. My first time ever hitting legend was with Dragon Warrior. And that was a tempo style deck. It wasn't super aggro and it wasn't like control-y by any means, but it was like you just get tempo and you never lose tempo. So this card did a good job of doing that. I didn't see this card being the problem, wasn't the whole set of cards supposed to be 3-mana 3/3s? Because that's the same for each of the Evo classes, right? Like they all got 3-mana 3/3s, right?
They all got. Wait, was that the case? I do not remember that for mercenaries.
Was that, or am I making that up?
I'm trying to think. Did anyone else get a mercenary card? Like, was that a sub? No one else got a mercenary card.
No, because the priest got the like destroy a minion, restore it to full health, the 3-mana 3/3, right? Was that in the same?
Because this was. What set did this come out of? It's got the hammer and the pick, so that would have been. Oh my god, I'm like totally blanking on what that watermark is. I always remember watermarks. Damn it! It was a
Old Doom.
Oh yeah,
Old Doom.
Old Doom 3/3. I'm like Googling now, man. I don't remember this being a thing, but it's very likely you're right.
Because the Warlock has a 3-mana 3/3 too, right? Maybe I'm remembering wrong. I don't know.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, even if that is the case, I don't think they should like stick to it arbitrarily if they feel
Yeah, of course.
That Bloodsworn Mercenary is doing too much work of its own stat line and not just because of your battle cry.
Oh, I think it was the Evil Recruiter 3-mana 3/3, Bloodsworn Mercenary 3-mana 3/3, and the Priest Destroy a Minion 3-mana 3/3.
Dude, your memory is great. It may not be good for card names, but for card set themes, you've got one up on me. I did not remember that.
Yeah, so but you're right. They shouldn't arbitrarily be like, well, no, it's part of the 3-mana 3/3 cycle, so we have to keep this. Like, it's good that they're taking a look at it and they're making the changes that they feel they need to make. I didn't, like I said, I didn't find this card specifically too bad. It's like the card they make a duplicate of. You're like, oh my god, and now there's another one. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, and like also like I'm kind of emotionally attached to Bloodsworn Mercenary because this was I don't think any other single card has done more to make me interested in Warrior than Bloodsworn Mercenary. It's like I think Warrior is my least played class. It's because I'm just not a big fan of Control Warrior, and like historically that's been their jam with, a little bit of Pirate Warrior here and there, coming out. But like when Mercenary hit and we got that first like aggro warrior list that utilized it, I just thought that was the coolest thing I'd ever tried in Warrior. So I was a little bummed to see this, but at the same time, like much like Aldor Attendant, the stat line for Bloodsworn Mercenary, that's not the main reason I'm putting this card in my deck. I'm playing it to get copies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That deck's good, man. That deck's fun to play. They have these swing turns where you're like, okay, like I can finally catch up, and then they play, and then they copy their hand, or they copy their board with things like this, and you're like, wow, like how do I come back from this? Like it's pretty tough. It's a good card. I don't think it being a 3-mana 2/2 means you don't play it. I still think you play it in that deck, and I still think it's going to do well. Because like you and I both said that the stats weren't ever the problem,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about Demon Hunter then, because everybody gets excited when Demon Hunter nerfs happen, which is apparently every patch since their release. So first up is Priestess of Fury. You've seen this card played. If you have barely paid attention to Hearthstone since Ashes of Atlan's release, you've probably seen this card come down and sworn at the screen. So Priestess of Fury's health is going down quite a bit, going down from 7 to 5. That's all that's changing. Still costs 7 mana, still 6 attacks, still does 6 damage randomly at the end of the turn. You know, it still hurts, but now it is a lot easier to get rid of, which I am thoroughly thrilled about.
I think I have to bite my tongue here and not.
No,
fully,
don't. You want to go get your salt shaker?
Oh my gosh. There's no card in, I don't think the history of Hearthstone that's ever upset me as bad as this card. I have lost this card so many times, and it is so frustrating and feels bad every single time. There's a thing in my stream where anytime we play against a demon hunter, we spam, there's an emote of me screaming from one of our music videos that became a popular meme. There's that face. Anytime we play against a demon hunter, that comes up. And, conversely, when we play Battlegrounds and we lose to Wind Fury, Poisonous, Divine Shield, Murlocs, the same thing happens. So I have to bite my tongue a little bit because this is one of my least favorite cards to lose against in Hearthstone. Demon Hunter is good, man. These nerfs have slowed down Demon Hunter. I haven't seen nearly as many as I did prior to these nerfs. It's still a good card, man. Like, it's still a good card. Like, 6 damage is so much damage, and it somehow always works out where they always kill exactly what they need to kill, where I am left with nothing on board, and I'm like, how did it work out perfectly to where my minions are dead? You have a 6/5 on board, or 6/7, 6/5 now on board, and I can't do anything about it. I can't develop because guess what? They're gonna die again to the end of turn. So.
I mean, I'm in the same boat as you as Murlocs in Battlegrounds. All of my second places lately have been to Murlocs. And it's always the player that's just blindly drafting them throughout the whole game, and shit just works out for them. And I'm with you on Priestess of Fury. The only thing I will counter your salt a little bit though here with Priestess of Fury, because I love that you mentioned and you admittedly teed it up as like an anecdotal experience, right? That they always seem to perfectly kill what they need to, and then also get the rest of the damage to your face, right? Mm-hmm. So this card is actually one of the main reasons I stopped playing Demon Hunter, because it felt like every time I played it, it always did the most inefficient damage everywhere it possibly could. It always left up the biggest threat and didn't put me close enough to lethal to win. The amount of times that Priestess of Fury either A, didn't kill what I needed it to kill, or B, didn't push enough damage to face to where I was 1 damage off lethal multiple times. Like, oh, dude, I can't even tell you. And it was part of the reason that I just stopped playing the class, because I felt like the variance was a little, again, that variance I talked to you about, it was just a little too high for me to have a good time.
Let me tell you, my friend, are in the minority in that, because it seems to work out very well every single time I play against it. And I'm like, I can't believe it hit exactly what it needed to hit for the exact amount every time. And it's very frustrating. Demon Hunter is a good class. And I know you guys talked about it. I think I would rather it be powerful and people be excited to play it and have it be a thing, and then they dial it back some, than it be just not good, like a brand new class for the first time ever in Hearthstone, and it's not good, and then they're like, whatever, like no one's excited. So I would rather it be good and then them dial it back. It's just it feels very bad to lose against. I have 3 wins with Demon Hunter, and it's only because I did a quest and I haven't played it. I've been good about being able to play counter decks or play other stuff, and not fall into I need to win, so I'm going to play Demon Hunter stuff. So it's a good class, it's a good card. The nerf is good. It's still a very strong card, and it still makes me very salty. Very salty.
That is me in Altruist. I want to go to war with that card. I want to egg its house. That's how much I hate Altruist. So
it just seems like Altruist is like it's this little unassuming card, you know, it's a 4/2 or whatever, and it's just there, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, they're playing a card, okay, they're playing another card, okay, they're playing another card, okay, they're playing another card. I have no board. Now I'm okay. This is one of my face. This is one of my face. Oh my god! Like it just never stops.
Oh, they just killed my 8 health taunt minion and can now get me for lethal.
Yeah.
Like what is happening? Yeah. Honestly, my reaction to these Demon Hunter, by the way, Crimson Sigil Runner went from 2 attack to 1 attack. Good. This card this card should have a 0 attack as far as I'm concerned. But my salty reaction to this is, Jirachi Warblade still has lifesteal.
Yeah,
that was my takeaway.
You're like, all right, they've taken so much face damage. They're at 10 health. Like, all right, we can recover from this. You know, like I can draw a fireball off the top, and we can do this. We can do this. And then they're like, oh, lifesteal weapon, buff the crap out of this weapon. Oh, kill this minion. Oh my hero takes no damage, and you're like, what is happening? How do they go from almost dying to near full health? This is frustrating. Yeah,
if we're just all aboard the salt train, like Altruist is like my main offender that I look at, but my like flippant, none of these nerfs mean anything, walk away was, Eldrazi Warblade still has lifesteal. Because like anytime I'm like, you know, leaning into the salt and like making fun of Demon Hunter, I'm just like, yeah, imagine if you do everything Rogue could do, but you could heal as much as you want. Like, because that's how Demon Hunter feels to me. Like all the tempo, all the damage of Rogue with just silly healing numbers.
Yeah, remember how much people hated Kingsbane when it got like just lifesteal and just it got out of control?
Yeah.
It reminds me of that. Like it reminds me of being like, okay, now they can control the board. They can, they can do damage to anything they want and not take damage and gain life. You're like, wow, this is so strong. Again, I understand the class being strong, and I would rather it be stronger than weaker. So I'm glad they're dialing it back. I'm glad they're taking a look at it, and I'm glad they're keeping it. They're keep doing nerfs to it. I do think that they're both warranted for sure. And I still think it's a very strong class. I haven't run into it nearly as much. I don't know if these nerfs scared people for a little bit. Maybe it's going to come back, or maybe they are going to figure out something else. But it has stopped as much Demon Hunter on ladder than in the past.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? That's where like my salt subsides. Like I can make fun of Demon Hunter all day. Like I can, and I love the Demon Hunter card memes. Like I have yet to get sick of them. But I really do think they've been supremely successful at adjusting the percentage of class representation on ladder. I actually haven't. I'm with you. I haven't seen that many Demon Hunters. Now I'm sure Jocelyn right now is listening. Maybe not yelling because I don't know what kind of sick she has. Maybe she has a sore throat. Maybe she's whispering, but I'm sure she's going, I still see 7 Demon Hunters in a row every day. Because she seems to, if Garrett Luck is like a meme on the show, I think like Joss Luck equal, like definition is seeing Demon Hunter game after game on ladder. But to me, these nerfs, like, tempo Demon Hunter list, like it still has a really high win rate. Right now, I'm looking at HS Replay at Dex. It's one of the most played decks in the last 24 hours, and it's still eking out a 58% win rate across all leagues. So, like, yeah, it still works. But you know what? You look at its matchups, it has counters. And again, like, the big thing is that we don't have, like, over 50% of the population just logging Demon Hunter games. And to me, like, that makes me happy. And I'm also with you on I would rather it go this way than the opposite, which is it launched like totally underpowered and nobody cares. And it's not a big kind of hype moment for the game that has had the same 9 classes since 2014.
I think the weakness of Demon Hunter is all of their cards have such low health that you're able to kind of control the board in that way, whether you make favorable trades, or you have, an explosive trap, or you have, a blizzard, or you have this or that, or whatever kind of board clears. And that's why the Priestess of Fury feels so bad. I would have rather them lowered the cost of the minion and lowered the health, you know, to where it comes out a little sooner, but you can deal with it right away. Because I still think a 6/5 is going to do damage that when it comes down is going to be hard to get rid of. 6/7 was like almost auto concede. It would come down and be like, I can't do this. I'm going to take 6 damage next turn. On top of it hitting me for 6, what do I do? You know?
Yeah.
So I would rather their weakness be low health minions and that just be their thing. I still think this card is very strong, and I would still like to see some sort of change because I think 5 health is still too much. But
Urtai in the chat room mentions the damage should be like a rag shot, like all 6 damage to one target randomly all at once. That'd be interesting. I mean, it would make the card a lot worse, like a lot worse potentially.
Yeah.
But I don't think necessarily unplayable. I think you might need to actually lower the mana cost if you were to do that, though, to like keep it somewhat viable. Because I don't want to neuter the card entirely. But I don't know. 5 health for 7 mana, you know, obviously could come off of Skull of Gul'dan, but even if it does, like 5 health, it's pretty manageable at the point in any game of Hearthstone where this could realistically come out. I think you should be able to handle it in a lot of cases.
Well, the salty Vigil and the sadist in me wants this thing to get nerfed into the ground to where it is unplayable, but I understand not everybody shares that same sentiment. So, I don't know what the fix should be. I think it's still too much health. Because the other card that if you attacked with your hero, you deal what? 5 damage? What is it? 6 damage?
What card are you talking about here?
It's a Demon Hunter card that if you've attacked with your hero, you do 4 damage to any target.
Here we are with the card names. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So that card is annoying, but you can at least deal with that card. I feel like it having 4 health, you're able to deal with it. This one, it's
Adept.
just past
Glaive-bound Adept.
Yep. So this one, I think, is still just out of reach for a lot of decks. I don't know. I think it still needs to be lower health, but I don't know. We'll see. I haven't run into too many Demon Hunters, so I honestly don't know.
The way
if it's enough or not.
Yeah, my thought just goes into like the statistics have been, you know, consistently going down and down, and we're getting closer to like a healthy, you know, above 50% win rate for the Demon Hunter, right? Like they haven't been at 60% for a little while now. So incremental changes like this, I think the class is getting pretty close to like the balance point. So I tend to, when I see that, I look at stuff like this and I'm a little more amenable to it.
Mm-hmm. Blizzard has all the stats, that they need. So, maybe this is the change it needs, and maybe this is gonna help bring that win rate down. I'm not a card designer. I'm not a game developer. I have no frame of reference to this other than just being salty, losing to this sometimes. So, I'm down to see it out and to see where it goes and to see if it's still too strong or if it's been nerfed properly. I guess only time will tell.
Yeah. Well, before we leave the major nerfs here, Warlock got 1 nerf to Imprisoned Scrap Imp, and the buff got nerfed. So it's still dormant for 2 turns, but now when it awakens, instead of giving all minions in your hand +2/+2, it gives all minions in your hand +2/+1. So 1 less health buff to whatever minions happen to be sitting in your hand. I kind of giggled when I first saw this. I'm like, this sounds like a Battlegrounds nerf. Because they've been like getting away from health buffs quite a bit over there.
Yeah, Azu's a good deck, man.
Yeah. It is
Azu's
arrived 100%. Well, it has re-arrived. It has come back to the party.
Yeah. It never left. It's always been a very good deck. It's just been in and out of metas, and it's good, man. And a 2/1 buff is good. I think that makes the card good, and 2/2 did seem a little strong because on paper you're like, well, 1 health doesn't matter, but like it does across a lot of minions, when they just they play carpet and then they play, this 1-drop and they play this 1-drop, and you're like, all these 1-drops have 2 extra health and now 3 extra attack with the carpet. You're like, what do I do? So I think it's good. I think this is a more in line with where it needs to be for sure. 2/2 was strong, man. 2/2 was so strong.
Yeah, it was a lot, and so was Scavenger's Ingenuity's buff, which also got nerfed. Still 2 mana, still draws a beast, still buffs it, but the buff has been nerfed. It's no longer a +3/+3; it's a +2/+2. I'm still playing it. Like, it was just too strong before, in my opinion. Like, it hurts a little bit because I was playing the crap out of this card personally. But to me, this is still an amazing hunter spell.
It's good. Targeted draw is good no matter what. Like, what you're gonna draw when you play this. It's gonna have a beast tag, and it's gonna get +2/+2. So it's like it turns your kill commands on. It makes it so I only have the boar in the deck. So now I play this. I'm gonna guarantee to draw the boar. It's gonna be a 4/4 rush or a 4/4 charge. Now it's a 3/3, and that's significant. So this is good. I'm all for this.
Yeah, me too. And what is it now? The once again, I'm totally blanking on freaking card names. The beast that gives you secrets. Now it's a little harder for priest to kill it, so I'm kind of okay with it. Because now it's a 4 attack. Which granted they have ways to kill it, but Face Stalker, my God.
Oh yeah. I always forget that's a beast.
Yeah, I always think, how many times when you first started playing Dragon Hunter did you swing with Stormhammer thinking that was a dragon, and you're like, oh no?
Yep. Yeah, I was like, this 3/1 weapon that's not going to go away. Watch this, Face Stalker, hero power, attack face, and then I'm like, I don't have a weapon anymore. Oh my God, what an idiot!
Yeah, I have finally, like 200 games later, stopped doing that. But now it comes out to be a 4/5 if you get it off Scavenger's Ingenuity. So at least the Shadow Words won't be dealing with it against Priest. So anything that helps me against Priest, because that right now, like, truly is my ire at the moment is Priest. I'm so just done. Done, Vigil. Priest, my God.
Oh, well, yeah. Priest is I've been seeing a lot of Priests lately.
Same.
And I gotta tell you, Soul Mirror might be my least favorite board changing spell they've ever had.
I kind of dig it a little bit.
It feels so bad. Sometimes you're like, I can't believe what just happened. And now they have a Ysera and I don't. And you're like, how did this go this way? This is crazy. Because I mean, what was the one that shuffled all the minions back in their deck?
Psychic
Psychic Scream.
Scream. Yeah.
That one was a great board clear. Well, a board, I guess, stall. I don't really know, but that one was great. But this Soul Mirror just feels so bad. Sometimes you're like, how did this just happen? Like, this feels terrible. Like, you have all these good death rattle minions that are gonna help you out, and then all of a sudden they have them now, and they have all the death rattles, and you're like, how did this game just take a turn like this? Like, I can't come back from this. What am I gonna do?
Remind me, did you ever, or do you play Magic?
I do play Magic, yeah. I do.
How do you feel about blue in Magic?
I absolutely hated blue at first. Initially it went black, red, white, green, not playing Magic, literally anything else in the world, and then blue. But now blue is my second favorite color in Magic, so I'm black, blue, red, white, not playing Magic, green.
Blue tilts me to no end in Magic. I'm not really playing Magic right now. It's been a while since I've been seriously into Magic, but like back in the day, Like table flipping levels of anger at blue, and Priest reminds me of blue a little bit.
Yep, Priest is
like,
definitely blue.
It's just like, oh, you think you understand the rules of Hearthstone? Well, my deck doesn't abide by them, so enjoy.
I make the rules. King Anduin makes the rules.
He does, and on top of that, Anduin, one of the lamest Warcraft characters in the history of the fiction. So unfortunate. But anyways, so overall, like, you like the patch? Do you like positive, negative?
Overall, I think the patch is great. There's nothing really that stands out as bad. I think everything is good. Everything is where it should be. I hope that this makes a control shaman archetype work. I don't know if it's enough to make it work, but it would be cool to see it be a thing. Rogue was much needed nerfs. Warrior, I didn't see coming. I didn't see either of those cards being too oppressive. I don't know. Demon Hunter, I still think is not enough. Warlock and Hunter is good. So everything seems like it's where it should be, and it'd be cool to see Libram Paladin for sure.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this one as well. I've played a lot of games since the patch went live, and I saw a good mix across the board. I did see mostly priests, which is why I was a little salty on my tweet today. But it was barely a majority priest. Like maybe two more games than any other class I ran into. So like there's some really good class diversity on ladder right now, and overall, I'm happy with these changes. I don't think they really just completely neutered any of the archetypes that were using the cards that were nerfed, and I'm very happy with the cards that were buffed. I think they needed it, and frankly, I'm still just stoked that we're living in a world where we're seeing frequent card buffs in Hearthstone. I think that's really rad.
Yeah, dude, the Hearthstone team is doing a great job with keeping this game, staying active with what the community wants and needs and stuff. Like having them do buffs. Their first buffs were, I don't remember when it was, but not too long ago, as far as the lifespan of Hearthstone. And I think it's great, man. It makes the game so fun, and it's like a new breath, and a new patch comes in, and you're kind of used to what I'm getting beat up by this Demon Hunter nonstop, and then now you log in and it's like, oh cool, these buffs or these nerfs and buffs go live, this patch goes live, and then it's like, oh, now this is being a thing, this is slowing down, and I think that's a good place for it to be. I think like I said earlier in the show, they have a lot of being a digital card game, they have a lot of avenues to kind of pursue, and I think buffs and nerfs is awesome. I think it's cool because no other card game can do that. A printed card game, you can't change printing a physical card. You can't say, oh, this is now when you play, this costs 2 more or whatever. Like you can't tell your opponent, oh, you play this on turn 2, it actually costs 4, so now you have to wait a little longer, put it back in your hand. It's like that doesn't work. So
get a cool knock at the door. And who's this? It's the Magic Police. We have new reprints for you. Come out with your cards up.
Cards up. I love it, dude. I love it. Yeah, but dude, it's it's good, man. It's fun, and Hearthstone's been a game I've loved since beta, and I've played it every day. Some days I play it all day. Some days I just do my quests. So it varies, but it's a game I've been consistently playing. It's one of my favorite games of all time, if not my favorite game of all time I've played the most. So I like seeing stuff like this. I like them keeping it fresh and not letting stuff go on too long, because there's been things in the past that they've let go for too long, and by the time they made the changes or made the nerfs or made the buffs or whatever they did, it was almost too little too late for some things. But I think how fast they're acting and how they're communicating with the community and stuff, I think they're doing a great job, and I'm stoked to be a Hearthstone player and fan right now for sure.
Times 2. So, well, rad. Well, before we get into the rest of the show, talk Battlegrounds and wrap things up with an email, we have a sponsor to thank for today's episode, and it is Quip toothbrushes. You can go to getquip.com/TAC and get your first refill pack for free with a Quip electric toothbrush. As I mentioned before, and it bears repeating, I am the furthest thing you will ever find from a morning person. I don't like it. I don't like getting up, but it needs to be done. Work needs to get done. Emails need to be sent. Podcasts need to get written and posted and fixed. If I was sick like I was last week, went to sleep and woke up and realized something was not freaking posted to the RSS feed. Sorry, Into the Nexus listeners. I'm sorry. But luckily, one part of my morning routine I just don't need to worry about, and that's brushing my teeth and making sure that I have a nice toothbrush that I don't pick up and think to myself, oh my God, there's like 3 bristles left on this. It looks terrifying. What am I doing with my life? Or I'm out of toothpaste. Quip takes care of all of that by delivering replacement brush heads and toothpaste straight to my door on a dentist recommended schedule every 3 months, and it ships for free. So I've like legitimately love my Quip toothbrush ever since they sent one over, and like I was surprised how stoked I was about it. And I hear that today's guest is also the proud owner of a Quip electric toothbrush.
Yes, I am. I've been using Quip for a long time. Before I even listen to the podcast, I've been with Quip, and it's so convenient and so easy because on top of it being an electric toothbrush, they ship you a new brush head every single 3 months, but they also send you a battery too. So you're able to literally just open it up, take out the battery, throw your old head away, put a new battery in, new brush head. It's like you have a brand new toothbrush every single 3 months, and it's just so convenient. You never have to think about it. You never have to be like, oh man, is my toothbrush getting old? Like, are these bristles like not cleaning my teeth properly and And it's just, I've been using it for a long time. A couple months ago, I actually switched. I had the metallic gray one, but now I got the all black one where it's black and the actual head is black and the bristles are black too, just because I thought it looked cool and I was like, I want to switch it up a little bit. I'm a very big fan of Quip. It's so convenient, so easy, and just it's other ones you have to put on a charger and stuff, and this one is battery powered, and so it's easy to travel with because you put it back in the tube and you throw it in your bag and you go away, and then you're like, oh cool. And they have this like sticky back holder that sticks to any mirror basically.
Yeah, it's so like anywhere you go, like it's not like adhesive that goes bad. Like as long as it's clean and the mirror you're sticking it on is clean, it just adheres.
Yeah, it just worked. It's weird. It's weird, like weird science stuff.
Yeah.
How does this work?
It's great stuff. They've also got eco-friendly refillable floss for you and like the nicest dispenser I've ever seen for floss. So you should go check them out. Join the over 3 million happy customers and practice good oral care easily and affordably with Quip starting at just $25. And if you go to getquip.com/tac right now, you're going to get your first refill for free. That's your first refill free at getquip.com/TAC. It is spelt get, QUIP.com/TAC. We thank Quip, the Good Habits Company. And now let's talk a little Battlegrounds.
Have a good battle, friend.
So we have had we had a few new heroes added to Battlegrounds last week, as well as a new minion and Direwolf Alpha removed. So I was really anxious to get a look at statistics because when last week's episode happened, like there was nothing, there were no stats yet, and so now we've had a full week with the new Battlegrounds patch. And something unexpected happened. I'll tell you what's not unexpected. Kael'thas has ended up in 3rd place for overall average placement. But Rafam has overtaken Dance and Daryl for reasons I do not understand.
Yeah, Rafam is great, but Daryl seems like he's the best. Like he can make minions so big and so out of control. I guess Rafam has more reliability, I guess, because you're able to kind of bank the the minion, you know, like even if you don't end up using the minion, you're able to sell it and get a coin for a later turn. And sometimes you can high roll and get exactly what you need to get a triple or whatever. So Rafam's great, but I for sure thought Daryl was higher than Rafam. So this is news to me, seeing this tier list for sure.
Yeah. Chat room is saying that it's most likely because the new 1-drop is very much worth stealing. And that's actually a really good point, that if you're swapping out the new Death Rattle Lizard, the 3-1 that grows, for Direwolf Alpha, which was one of the most forgettable and useless Battlegrounds minions, that is actually going to help Rafam out a lot, because he's just straight oppressive in early game in terms of stealing minions and going wide.
Again, I knew Rafam was good. I knew he was tier 1. I didn't know he was on top. Like, I would not have guessed that. If you said write down, you know, if there are 4 heroes in tier 1, rate them. I would have said Kel'Thas probably first, Nozdormu, Dancing Daryl, and then Rafam. Not the order they have it. That's news to me, man.
Yeah, it is worth pointing out that they are super close. I mean, we are talking average placement, meaning of, you know, between 1 and 8. Where do they fall on average across? I think since last patch, it looks like almost 1 million games logged. Rafam and Daryl are 0.05 between each other in terms of their average placement, and then from Daryl to Kel'Thas, 0.02 off of their average placement. So all 4 of these top 4 heroes, Rafam, Daryl, Kel'Thas, Nozdormu, very close ranks in terms of average placement. So, like, you really can't go wrong with any of them. Maybe you could still go wrong with Dancing Daryl if you're playing on your phone. That's about the only thing I could think of.
I'm going to be honest. My Boomer APM is even bad on PC. I'm like, okay, how do I do this? Okay, buy this, sell this. And then it's like the rope's burning, hurry. And I'm like, all right, sell this, buy this. And then I end up with nothing on board. And I'm like, oh man, I just gave away a full turn from my Boomer APM.
Boomer AP. I love that. I love that by internet standards, you're a boomer. It's great.
Very much so. I mean, I didn't come up with that. My stream chat came up with that. So shout out to them for calling me a boomer every single day I play games.
Hashtag boomer APM. Well, we did have 2 more heroes added to the game, and I'm wondering where they're at. And unfortunately, I need to scroll all the way to damn near the bottom of average placement to find Maiev and Lady Vaj neck and neck in the dumpster of Battlegrounds. They are not doing great. Maiev is 6th from the bottom, and Lady Vaj is 7th from the bottom.
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to play with Vaj. I did play with Maiev when she first came out, and I was like, this doesn't seem good at all. Like, I would rather do, like, what is it? Synergosa, and just give everything on board +1/+1, not make this just go away and then, like, by the time it comes back, you're like, you may have, like, switched what you needed to do, or you may be on a different path or going for a new tribe, and you're like, oh yeah, I have this whatever that is 1/1 now. Like, I don't know, it's not that good. It just doesn't seem very, very powerful, and I don't know. I wasn't a fan when I played her.
Yeah, it's funny enough. Maiev, the very first time I got her, I got first place, but I also just kind of got a god draft. Like, it really had little to nothing to do with her hero power. And I also got into those scenarios that I described last week, where it was like, oh man, that minion is the triple I need, but I know I'm going to tavern up in 2 turns. So it's like perfect to use the hero power on it and then just continue drafting as normal. And then in 2 turns, tavern up, get your triple, and, you know, discover into the next tier. So it was like absolute perfect stars aligned, just happened to work out. And like, it was more because I found 2 mackerels and not because I was playing Maya. So yeah, it's, and Lady Vaj, again, I stand by my comments last week. I really think it's a cool design. I like playing Lady Vaj, but yeah, it doesn't get the results. So I wonder if we're going to see some hero buffs sometime soon in Battlegrounds, because It's been a while, right? Like we got a nerf to Millhouse, and that was like it.
Yeah, I've been kind of off and on with Battlegrounds. I've been playing a lot more lately. I haven't played in a while, but it's I think like Joss always says, it's nice to take a break from being on ladder and getting some bad beats and getting salty, and then going over to Battlegrounds. It's like it's like a whole new game. It's like yeah, it's still Hearthstone cards, but it feels completely different. So it's nice to kind of mix it up and like I've been playing a lot of it lately. Maybe because I've been getting salty on ladder, but that's not relevant. But it does seem like there needs to be a few reworks for some of these heroes, because like you were saying, Vaj's passive hero power is cool and in theory should work well, but it just doesn't play out the way you read it,
Yeah. It's I would like to see some changes as well. Like how many times now have they buffed Future Side and it just hasn't been enough? And I was really stoked about like the Lich King buff, and he hasn't been doing great either, even though he can now choose which minion gets the freaking reborn. It just doesn't seem to be enough. And poor Galakron like has just debuted at the bottom and has just stayed there. So there's just so many that they're just a little feel bad. Whereas it's strange though with Battlegrounds, right? Because like some of them, like I still feel like I love playing Reno. And like I know he has bad average finishes, but I don't care. I have a really good time, and it's fun to kind of take the risk of like, will I get the draft? Like because I like going for Reno and being like, all right, oh, this is the archetype I got. All right, let's see if I can find the linchpin for this archetype and gold it. And when it happens and it works, like, dude, I love those games. I have a great time. It's kind of like Flurgle, because like Flurgle, everyone's always surprised when we talk average placements, right? And Flurgle's so low, but it's like if you look at his placement distribution, Flurgle has more first place finishes than I think any other hero in the game. It's just that if he doesn't get first place, he's like getting eighth last almost always.
Yeah, he either wins or loses. There's no in between.
Exactly. And to me, that's awesome. I don't want them to change Flurgle, and I don't think I really want them to change Reno, because this is the type of heroes like when I pick them, I know exactly what I'm getting myself into. And it's cool that they exist and that I can kind of make that choice that like, no, this is the game of Battlegrounds I want to play. I'm not going for best overall chance to get top four for middling points. I want to have a fun experience because I know how these heroes play, and I know the risks that I'm taking by picking them. I think it's important that those types of heroes exist. But we're talking more here, like I mentioned, things like Future Sight, Galakron, Jiraxis, these types of heroes that are a little more, like very much more straightforward in the way that they play, and they just don't do work.
Yeah, I think the problem, I think Jiraxis being dead last, I think the problem with him is that not only does it force you to go down a certain tribe that, if it's not open, it's not open. Like, what are you going to do? Like, if you don't get offered demons, like you have to take something else, like, and so, and his hero power does very little to impact, the hindrance of having to go down the demon route, like, yes, +1/+1 is great. And if you have a board full of demons, it's great, but that's not going to carry you like some of the other hero powers are going to carry you. You know what I mean? So it's I don't know. Again, I'm not a game designer, so I have no idea how to make him work or make him better. But I think that's the problem with heroes like that. Is it's not only does it force you down a route of demons, it also, the hero power doesn't really make up for kind of pigeonholing yourself into demons. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's too much of a pigeonhole, right? On top of the fact that like demons have really fallen off. Like if we did Battlegrounds like Mad Money stock market style, it would be like demons sell as fast as you can. What are you doing? Like they've really taken a dive since their heyday of literally anyone who played Battlegrounds complaining about demons. So it's twofold, I think, for poor Jiraxis. But It's interesting. I don't know. I find Battlegrounds just so deeply fascinating because it's a game where I actively opt into playing suboptimally to have a fun experience. And this is like very personal because I am not the type of person to do that. I tend to just always want to min-max and play as perfectly as I can and just try to win. But Battlegrounds is the one where like I am happy to meme. I am totally on board. And so I don't want that edge to be lost. So
that explains why you like Reno so much. That explains why, like, you know what? I'm gonna go for this. And if the stars align, it's gonna be the best game of Battlegrounds I've ever played. I get that. I get that, and that makes sense. And that's cool.
Yeah, it's not how I play. I don't play every game memeing. Like most of my games, I'm like, all right, ooh, who's the best? I'm going for that. Let's work on that MMR, boys. But you know, once or twice a day, it's just like, let's have some fun. All right, let's take the Flurgle. Let's take the Reno. Let's take the whatever. So, yeah. But, other than that, it's a pretty quiet week for Battlegrounds. We had the update last week. Hopefully, we will, I would like to see some adjustments like we just talked about. I would also like to be right. Maybe they'll adjust it in exact ways that you or I suggested. So, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think Battlegrounds since its release has just been so good. Like they've just made it so good to come back to, and like they've just made it so fresh. It always feels new, like it always feels like it's like just something good, with whether it's hero changes, changing the hero pool, adding new minions, taking out new minions, like all that kind of stuff. The Battlegrounds team is just doing a great job. I think it's a great mode, and I'm just a fan.
Yeah, big fan as well. I'd like to see something happen with Murlocs, which I know you're on the same page as. But other than that, still having a really good time. And as someone who is not into Arena, it's rad to have like a second main mode that just keeps me locked into Hearthstone when I'm a little bored on ladder. So still digging it, still in love. And before we end, let's take a look at the mailbag and take an email or two.
Hello?
There it is.
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
You can send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Or if you're a patron, you can drop a message right in the patron Discord. Where you'll also sometimes find Vigil recommending really great decks to go play. So, Brenton writes in this week and says, following up on last week about game mechanics you'd like to remove or add to the game, maybe a solution to the game length issues some are having would be to have a new game mode. Speedstone. Same exact game as normal ladder, except each turn is much shorter. 30 seconds, 20 seconds, maybe even 15 seconds. It would reward new styles of gameplay and different ways of thinking. I realize gold rewards might need to be re-examined for this mode. No, I don't think it does. I think they're still giving us a pittance for our winnings. One, what are your thoughts about Speedstone as a game mode? It seems like it would be a relatively easy implement. Two, if you had to come up with a new game mode besides tournament mode, as we already know you want that, what might it look like? I hope you and yours are staying healthy. Well, we're not, but at least we don't have COVID. So, what do you think of Speedstone, Vigil?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think outside of the professional level, I think roping every turn is just there's no real need for it because come on, you know what you're gonna do on your turn. Like you've thought about it, you've anticipated what you're gonna do. Like if this guy plays this is what I'm gonna follow up with. Like you draw a card and yes, it changes what you do, but like 90% of the time I know exactly what my next play is. I don't know if that's a great way to play the game. I'm not saying that's very competitive or it's going to take you far that way, but I know for the most part what my next couple turns are going to be like. So I'm a fan. I think it'd be cool to have a new game mode. I'm always on board with a new game mode, which I know you and Joss have talked, a lot about just any new game modes as being so fun. And I'm a very quick player. I snap off my turns most of the time, to a fault even. I would definitely play Speedstone. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, I'd be into it too. It'd have to be some kind of Nosdormu pun, like Hearth Dormu or something. Because although maybe not 15 seconds, that's a little slow. I love it. Was a Kajitar in the chat room says I would love this, but we would need to turn off animations.
Yeah, so the quicksand, the storm going on would be a little too much.
Yeah, absolutely. The other mode, like I have mentioned before, it's been a while since I brought it up, but like I really want another limited mode in Hearthstone. Like something that is like a proper draft, more akin to Magic, like everything. I just want Magic the Gathering limited formats in Hearthstone. Like I would play Arena as is if it was sealed. If I could see all 90 cards and then build a 30 card deck, I would be infinitely more interested in Arena.
That would be awesome, dude. That would be so good.
Yeah, or like, and like on top of it, like I used to go to every freaking pre-release, man. Like that was like my drug of choice with Magic the Gathering. Like, and I loved that like they were really relaxed in that you would just crack all your packs, make a deck, go play, and in between rounds, you could just completely change your deck from the cards that you pulled in your haul. And I would love to see like if you crack, like here's 90 cards, make a deck, go between games. Change your deck with all 90 cards. Like, just be able to like look at the pool at any point in between games. I would just, oh, dude, you would lose me. I would not play ladder for probably a year. I think I would just mainline that like a drug.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, dude. Sealed in Magic is an amazing format. It's really fun. It's the draft element. You know, you have to be a little more on top, and you're a little more in control of what happens, but. With sealed, like you're at the mercy of the packs you open. So you're literally at the mercy of the cards you get. So it's like, yeah, you get 90 cards, make a 30 card deck out of them. Like I'd be fully on board for that. That'd be so fun.
Yeah, I think it'd be really, really freaking rad. So obviously draft has like much more larger time constraint considerations, but we don't have a long form mode in Hearthstone yet. Like that's part of what I would like to see from a tournament mode. But to also see something that's more like a traditional draft where you kind of enter a lobby with X amount of players, which now we have something sort of like that with Battlegrounds. Like that would be very cool. I think there's room for, it's the weekend. I'm going to go take 3 hours to play like a Hearthstone draft in an actual lobby with X amount of players until one of us is left standing. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on board with that.
You're in the show notes. You want to take the second email or Discord message since Joss isn't here?
Sure. Andrew B from the Discord said, as has been discussed in the past, the game client seems difficult to adapt for in-game changes. See upside down cards when spectating, limited deck slots, etc. Do you think we will see an overall revamp of the entire client similar to what was done with Heroes of the Storm when it went to version 2?
It's hilarious. I was on the instance yesterday. We were talking about World of Warcraft, and we were talking about how cool it would be if they ever did like a full revamp of World of Warcraft's engine, like ground up, just blow it up and just completely make a new engine. And we also talked about how utterly unrealistic that is as an expectation. And I said, doing that to World of Warcraft is like at the very tip top of my magic wand list. Like sometimes people write into like, hey, if you had a magic wand, you could just make some insane thing reality. What would it be? And that's one of them. And so is this, like a Hearthstone 2.0 client that allows the team to be much more rapid with their iteration and new game modes and that sort of thing. But I don't think it's realistic. And also in comparison to Heroes of the Storm, that's still the same engine. Heroes of the Storm is built in the StarCraft 2 engine, and Heroes 2.0, it's like a rethink and a reskin of like the overall interface. But at the end of the day, StarCraft 2 is just a lot more customizable in that way. So it's not like they came out with a whole new engine. Heroes 2.0 is still the StarCraft 2 engine, and it's still the original engine that they were working with. They just like did a huge overhaul.
Yeah, and like Triago in chat is saying, it's not just for PC. It's for Android phones. It's for iPhones. It's for tablets. It's for, like, it would be a coding nightmare. Like it already is how it's been built. And if we did have a magic wand, it would be cool to be like, all right, all these things that are hindering what they do, boom, they're gone. Now make it work. Like that would be awesome, but that's not something that's realistic. And I would be obviously for a Hearthstone too, to, you know, do deck slots and fix the upside down stuff and all that. And I'm not a programmer. I don't know how that stuff works, so I don't know if that's possible. So yes, it would be cool. Possible. I can't imagine it is.
I find it unlikely, but also to Team 5's credit, like they've been surprising me a lot lately with what they have been able to pull off. Like I did not see Battlegrounds coming at all. I never would have called that in a million years. And what they accomplish in Battlegrounds is, I don't know. I still am kind of floored that it exists and is as good as it is, in the way that it functions. So, and again, we got that roadmap with, you know, it looks like a million things happening and new game modes are mentioned, but we know very little about it. That is one of the vaguest roadmaps I've ever seen. But we'll see. Like, we know new things are coming. So I'm giving them a huge benefit of doubt here because I've been really impressed with what they've done in the last year. I think 2019, and I've said it before and I will say it again, was the most impressive year I think Hearthstone has ever had on like from a game standpoint. Because like you mentioned, like until 2019, we used to go really long stretches of time without updates in Hearthstone. Nerfs were super few and far between, and we basically never saw a buff.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a couple very small exceptions.
Yeah, it really, for a long time, it just felt like it was, you know, it was just expansions, and that's what they focused on. And then there may have been a thing here and there, but it wasn't much else, you know. And now there's like consistent nerfs, consistent buffs. There's, you know, people are looking at stuff all the time, and the new game mode, and you know, they still have arena, and like dude, Hearthstone is absolutely in the best place it's been. From somebody who's been playing since beta, I'm on board with you, man. I think this is the best Hearthstone's ever been, and it's the most fun to like log in, and there's different ways to play, and you know, some of the ways are like, I don't know, they're just, it feels like a totally different game when you log in, you know, like you're like, do you want to do limited? Do you want to do an auto battle, or do you want to do constructed card game? Like, I don't know, to me, like the options, having those options are awesome. And I think they're doing a really good job of making them fun and keeping an eye on them, and not just saying, oh, we're keeping an eye on them and then not doing anything about it. It's like, oh, we're keeping an eye on them. Also, we're throwing in these buffs and nerfs because this is a problem, you know? So.
Yeah, agreed. So, Brenton, Andrew B., thank you so much for your questions. Keep them coming, everybody. tacpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to write in an email, if you're a patron, drop us a message in the Discord. Skip the inbox entirely. If we're there, we might just chat with you in real time. So go check it out. Speaking of our patrons, thank you so much for the support, everybody. If you are out there and you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/TAC. We really appreciate the support we get. Thank you very much, everybody. Also, a big thanks to our producer patrons, Declan H. and Cheesy Bob. We really appreciate your generous support. Thank you so much, you too. If you want to catch more Angry Chicken, catch up on back catalogs, maybe find out where our Twitter handle is, just head on over to amove.tv. I also keep forgetting this, but I did finally buy the angrychicken.com. I couldn't believe that it was available. So you can just go to the angrychicken.com and just forwards to our amove portal. So go check that out. TAC Podcast on Twitter. Every episode is up over there. If you want to see the full uncut VODs, go to youtube.com/amove2. It's a numerical 2. Or youtube.com/amovetv for highlights with some added visual interest you don't even see on the live stream because we edit it a little bit after the fact. Vigil, you're our guest today. You got a new record coming out. You've got an awesome freaking stream. Where can everybody find you?
I'm Jonathan Vigil on Twitter and Instagram, just my name. I'm in a band called The Ghost Inside, and we do have a new record coming out in about 2.5 weeks, June 5th. So 2 weeks from Friday. It's been a long time coming. I won't get too much into the backstory, but we had to put the band on pause for a while, and now we're back, and it's awesome. I've been streaming every single day of this pandemic over on Twitch at Vigil SC. Vigil SC, and I'm gonna go live as soon as we stop this. I'm gonna go live with some Battlegrounds, and then I might get into some Overwatch because there's anniversary skins that I want to grind for. So we're gonna be playing Hearthstone for a little bit, and then probably move over to Overwatch. So come check it out. Twitch.tv/VigilSC.
Well, I'm a fan of both. Love the Ghost Inside. Love your stream. You may even find me lurking in there sometimes if you're hanging out watching Vigil. So go check all of that out. Dude, your new songs are just they're great. They're so freaking brutal. I love them.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
You can find me on Twitter at Garrett Art. Also, I love talking music. Hit me up about music on Twitter, everybody. I love talking freaking music. Everything else I do, this show included, is at amove.tv. If you like Heroes of the Storm, check out Into the Nexus. You like Star Wars, I do a show called Let's Talk About Star Wars. You like World of Warcraft? I talk for, on average, 2 hours with Taliesin about World of Warcraft once a week as like a World of Warcraft morning show. We just like pick one topic and we just kind of talk about its history. Sometimes we debate it. It's a really fun new show that I'm doing. It's a little more on the relaxed side. So go check it out. All of that, amove.tv. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Until next Wednesday when the next Angry Chicken drops, job's done.
Job's done.
You know how this works.
I've been listening for a while. I know how it goes.
Rad. Chat room, you were rad. Vigil, you were also rad. Thanks again, man. Like what turned out like you just straight up saved the show this week without even knowing it.
Yeah. Dude, thanks for having me, man. Yeah, it was you text me that Joss couldn't make it, and I was like, wow, I guess this was a good week for me to get on.
Yeah, she hit me up. She's like, oh, we're both sick. I guess Matt's not doing too great either. So they're both laid up.
That's no good.
Well, awesome.
Joss,
chat.
I don't know if you're here. You're hearing this, but get well soon. You and your husband, please.
Yeah, you need to, Joss. Who am I gonna? No one wants to sit here and listen to just me talk Hearthstone next week. We'll figure it out. Well, rad chat. I'm gonna bring this down so I can free up the VOD and start posting. And I'll see you. Cool. I'll see you tomorrow for Into the Nexus. Everyone, go check out Vigil's stream.
I just turned it on right now, so I'll be over there playing some Battlegrounds.
Rad. Are you live right now? I'll do a raid.
I literally just pushed the live button.
Oh, sweet. What was your what's your Twitch again? I almost freaking forget.
Vigil SC. Just my last name, and then SC stands for Stream Crew.
I always see SC and I think StarCraft because when I first started podcasting, that was it. All right, raid is beginning, chat.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Help me with Battlegrounds because I'm a lowly 5500 player, guys. So I need all the help I can get. So please come help me. Stay away from Poisonous Murlocs because I hate that.